Thank you. Thank you very much. Or as Barack Obama would say, you're welcome. It's great to be at the Iowa State Capitol today, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being out here on a challenging day weather-wise, but you are modern-day Paul Revere's sounding the alarm, making sure that we have a country that we take back and restore America's promise. Thanks for being out here today. This is a country, as you know, that's headed in the wrong direction. Have you had enough of $4 a gallon gas?
Yeah!
Have you had enough of a federal government that is out of control?
Yes!
Have you had enough of crushing unemployment?
Yes!
Have you had enough of the triangle of greed, big government, big unions, and the big bailout businesses scratching each other's back and taking your wallet? We're here today to send them this message. Don't tread on me. If we're going to restore America's promise, we need a president who's going to keep their promises to America. Now, you'll remember candidate Obama here in Iowa and in other places around the country. He had that slogan that his supporters repeated over and over and over again. You remember what it was? It was, "Yes, we can." You remember that?
Yeah.
So now he's become president and he's broken so many of his important promises. I think our response to the question of whether he's broken his promises should be, yes, he did. So we had candidate Obama here in Iowa saying on the night of the Iowa caucuses, you know, we need health care reform, but he promised that he was going to do it with Republicans, going to focus on containing costs, making it more affordable, and as a candidate he opposed the individual mandate. Did President Obama break his promise to America?
Yes, he did!
Candidate Obama, in the early days of his presidency, also said he pledged that he would cut the budget deficit in half during his first term. Has President Obama broken his promise to America?
Yes, he did!
President Obama said, you know, we have to pass the stimulus bill because unemployment could go as high as 8%.
Obama man.
Has President Obama broken his promise to America?
Yes, he did!
As a senator, Barack Obama said we should not raise the debt ceiling limit. It would be an example or an evidence of failed leadership.
Yeah.
Now he's become president and he's advocating for raising the debt ceiling. Has he broken his promise to America?
Yes, he did!
Now I think we should give President Obama credit for at least one thing. We got to give him credit for at least this. He's proven that somebody deserves a Nobel Prize less than Al Gore.
Yes!
Now I know Donald Trump is getting a lot of attention and he's a bright, successful, and accomplished person, but you know, there's at least the one thing that I think we should embrace from his other TV show, The Apprentice, and we should tell President Obama in 2012, you're fired. Together with the great patriots that are here today on the front of the Iowa State Capitol and others like you all across this country, we can restore America's promise. We're going to need to do it one school at a time, one little league at a time, one PTA at a time, one church gathering at a time, one American and one Tea Party rally at a time. Now, as you know, America's promise was best and first presented by the Founding Fathers. They put it right in the glorious documents. They told us where to start and where to look first. In the Declaration, they said, we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. They didn't say we're endowed by our member of Congress. They didn't say we're endowed by our local bureaucrat. They didn't say we're endowed by the county clerk. They said we are endowed by God with our freedoms and our our liberties, and it's not for the government to take it away. The founders made it so simple, even the politicians can follow along and should be able to understand these principles. God made us free, and the Constitution guarantees that we'll remain free. Now, I want to also just mention to you that we have a government in this country that is out of control. It does not understand it is supposed to be limited. Every time the government pushes into an area of your life or our lives that was reserved for families or for neighborhoods or for community or places of worship or charity or the private markets or entrepreneurs or small business owners and job providers, they not only grow government, they not only grow their budget, but they do something else. They nudge aside and push down and burden and weigh down the spirit of the American people. They come into those spaces and they say, you don't have to worry about it anymore, or so they tell us. That they're going to take it over. The government's going to do it. They nudge us aside. And they not only make the spending higher in government, they corrode the American spirit. And so that not only corrodes the American spirit, it takes away our freedom. And the brilliance of this country is that we're the freest country the world has ever known. And our president, I don't think, understands and appreciates these grand principles. You know, for example, those words, and we need to tell them, you know, Mr. President, the words "in order to form a more perfect union" wasn't intended to refer to coddling public employee unions.
Yes!
Now, I'm not one to question the authenticity of Barack Obama's birth certificate. But when you look at his policies, I do question what planet he's from. But we just got to restore America's promise by restoring America's common sense. And I know the weather's challenging. I'll go through just a few examples. This first one is really not very difficult, but I'm going to say it slowly in case there's some Democrats who'll be watching on these cameras so even they can follow along. Are you ready for it? It's a tough one. We can't spend more than we take in. You can't do it as an individual, you can't do it as a family, you can't do it in your business, and we can't let the government do it anymore. Just because we followed Greece into democracy does not mean we should follow them into bankruptcy. Now, I know a lot of people say, look, this is going to be hard, the interest groups are tough, the politics are challenging, you know, the excuses come, but you're looking at somebody who governed for 8 years as a conservative in one of the bluest states in the country. We elected Al Franken, a United States Senator in Minnesota. Now, I share that with you only for this reason. As Frank Sinatra would sing about New York, if we can make conservative change in Minnesota, we can do it anywhere. We brought spending down in real terms. Cut it in real terms for the first time in 150 years. We did performance pay for teachers. We had public employee pension reform, cut taxes, reduce spending, tort reform, welfare reform, and on down the list. And I share that with you not as to be immodest, but just to tell you, in Iowa, in Massachusetts, in New Hampshire, where I was yesterday, we can bring conservative change all across America. And the hour is late, and the country needs each one of us to rise up. Now, we're going to in the past. At the federal level, we should not give Barack Obama license to spend more money. We should refuse to raise that debt ceiling. We need to have a constitutional amendment to finally balance the budget. We need to throw the tax code out and start over. And let's start with this simple idea. Let's make each member of Congress as a requirement of law to complete their tax returns by themselves without help of a tax accountant, lawyer, or attorney. Let's make them feel each year the burdens, the intimidation, the confusion, the harassment that is the ridiculous 9,000-page tax code in this country. It needs to be torn up by its roots and thrown aside. I think we could get a lesson in simplicity from this gentleman who ran for the governorship of New York a year or so ago. He had his own party, by the way. Now, we don't embrace necessarily everything he did and said, but the lesson is he had a pretty simple message. His party was called The Rent is Too Damn High Party. And I think one of our basic messages should be the government's too damn big. One other thing in terms of common sense principles. One of the best things that we can do for the people of Iowa and Minnesota and the people all across this country is make it more likely, not less likely, they're going to have a good paying job. And the answer to how to best do that does not reside with the politicians. Most of them have never worked in the private sector in their life. The answer resides with the people who actually provide the job. And when you go ask them and you say, what can we do to make it more likely you'll start a business, grow a business, provide jobs, and grow jobs here and across the country, they all say the same thing. Get the government off my back. Now, this won't be easy. The work ahead is important, but it's going to be challenging as well. But if prosperity were easy, everybody around the world would be prosperous. And if security were easy, everybody around the world would be secure, but they're not. And if freedom were easy, everybody around the world would be free, but they're not. It's going to take an extraordinary effort. It's going to take an extraordinary commitment from all of the people in Iowa and Minnesota and all across this country. Valley Forge wasn't easy. Settling the West wasn't easy. Winning World War II wasn't easy. Going to the moon wasn't easy. This ain't about easy. This is about rolling up our sleeves, putting our head down and our shoulders back, plowing ahead, and getting the job done for the people of this country. We are the United States of America.
Yes.
We are the American people. We can do anything if we put our minds to it. The Founding Fathers created this great nation. Ronald Reagan personified it. Lincoln stood courageously to defend it. This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom. Our government, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. May God bless each and every one of you, and may God continue to bless the great United States of America.